Morning, gals, guys, and otherwise. Welcome back to Patrick's Armory. Sir Patrick injured himself at Estrella War a couple of weeks ago, so you're going to be seeing a lot of me for the next couple of months. You know, get over it. I'm Skylar. I'm one of the apprentices here at Patrick's Armory, and today we're going to be making a pair of pauldrons. So these pauldrons have a really high range of articulation. So you can get up for really high blocks, parries, and whatnot. And we're going to show you how to make them. We're going to be taking this sheet of 16 gauge mild, pretty ho-hum, and we're going to be turning it into a nice pair of pauldrons like that. And we're going to show you each step of the way so that you can do it on your own if you'd like. In addition, we'll include a link down below if you want to pick some up from our store online. Let's get started. So now we're going to lay out, which is the term used for laying your pattern out on the workpiece. So, like, sometimes you'll need to kind of finagle it until you find a good way that your pattern fits on the area that you want to use. I like to try and use, rather than, you either want to do kind of a square or you want to use like a side, so that you aren't cutting chunks into your piece, and it's easier to use the rest of the piece later. So we're going to mark all of the holes that we're going to punch so that we have them available once we've cut out the piece. Now, depending on what kind of shears you have, depends on really how close you can get your individual pieces. Since we have a nice Beverly shear, you can actually get the pieces pretty close and not really run into any problems while you're cutting out the pieces. If you're doing this with a straight shear or hand shears or anything like that, an 1/8 of an inch might be a little too close for you. You just have to figure out what's going to work for you, your tools, and your experience level. So we can just cut these out as is, and we're all good to go. So now we've laid it out, we're going to gather up our pattern and put it back in the envelope so that nothing gets lost. You don't want to lose pieces of your pattern. Believe me, it's terrible. You then have to either reconstruct it from another pattern or try and size it off of something that's already been shaped. It's not a pretty picture. So just, you know, take a second, put your stuff away, and it's going to save you a lot of time in the future. Okay, so this is a Beverly shear, and this is our go-to shear in the shop. But part of the advantage of the Beverly is because of its tapered design here, it can actually cut angles and circles really well. So we're going to be able to get in some of these tighter angles that we're cutting, and it shouldn't be any problem. I'm going to start by just doing a rough cut around where we're working, so that it's going to be easier. And you'll notice that I'm wearing a glove. That's because as you cut, there's going to be what's called a kerf, or a little edge formed. These mostly straight cuts are not too bad. The edge is very small. But when you're doing a round cut, especially when you get into like this, or even tighter cuts, they're very sharp and they can easily slice you open. So it's important to wear a glove on your handling hand. So now we have all of our lames and our pieces all cut out. But you're going to notice that they have these burrs on the side. They're all really, really nasty, and they'll cut you up pretty bad. So I'm going to go ahead and deburr them. I'm going to sand all the edges down. I'm going to be putting a glove on my right hand this time and be gloveless on the left. I'm going to be holding and up against the sander here with my right hand, and then I can gently check for the individual burrs on the other. Okay, so now we've got all of these guys sanded up. You saw that I did a few passes on each side and kind of rounded them off. So these are going to be nice, pretty buttery smooth, nice and comfortable. But we still have all of these holes that we need to punch in them before we can take them over to the hammer or start rounding them off. So we are going to go quickly center punch all of these guys on each of these holes, and then take them over to the punch right here and punch them out. Okay, so now we've got these pieces all punched out. We've got them ready to roll. And now we're going to take them to the power hammer here. So one of the things you're going to notice I'll do is I'm going to start on the ends to kind of get them pounded out, and then I'll work my way around the perimeter to the center. And that is going to prevent the steel from kinking all over the place as you try to dish it. And so you're going to get a much more even finish. So this is one of those kinks, but as we come around, it's going to even out just fine. Now, the trick is, these shoulders are identical pieces, but they're mirror images of each other. So if I hit one side of this guy, it'll turn into the right shoulder, but if I hit this side of this guy, it'll turn into a left shoulder just like this one. So I'm going to quickly make sure that I'm striking this side so it domes up this way. And so we have a pair instead of two lefts or two rights. Okay, so now we have one right shoulder and one left shoulder. They're ready to go. We still have those little, snake eyes. Yeah, that's snake eyes that we formed. We're going to go ahead and take the lames and shape them to these, and then we'll polish and assemble it. So we're going to line this up like this. Usually a good flare for these is about 3/8 of an inch in. And that 3/8 will usually come about halfway through your holes that you've cut. You want to keep your hammer blows to a minimum if you can, because it's going to make the more hammer blows, the worse your piece is going to look. But I think this is good enough. Once we bend it back, it's going to kind of snap into place, and we'll be good to go. So this is our top lane, and so this is the one we're going to match, because we've already got it matched up to the pauldron itself. So we're just going to rest it here for the second. And here, what we're doing is, instead of, because we don't want to kink or bend it or get too many flat spots, we're just going to kind of rub gently. So this is a technique that comes from tinsmithing, apparently, but it's kind of just what you want to do naturally when you're trying to install a very gentle curve. Because this kind of had a little bit of a flat spot here where you see that it's almost linear. So we want to just get that slightly rounded off. We see that it's just a little bit better, and now we're just going to gently unfold this a little bit until it matches up pretty evenly. Ooh, that was a good one. So there we go. We are pretty spot on within like livable parameters. And now we're going to use this one and make sure it sizes up here. Okay, so we're ready to start assembling. I've got here some kind of special aluminum rivets. These guys have a really wide head and they're really soft. These are going to be really great for putting our leather straps on, and that's really important for this project. We're going to go ahead and start by putting on our fake rivet for the middle lane here. So I'm going to stick this fake rivet on. I kind of like to go through and do that first just so it's out of the way. And we have a little divot drilled here into the anvil, which we actually use as a rivet set. It's super efficient and a really simple way of getting the rivet head to not get too deformed. So here we're going to take the longer rivet, and then we're going to put a washer on it, because the washer is going to spin pretty freely along the lane. And so that's actually going to help this articulate better, so it's going to be a lot smoother. Because if your rivet was directly sitting on the lane, it would not move as free. Okay, so here's where the trickiest part of making these comes in. We're going to take the aluminum rivet and a leather strap, and the aluminum rivet is going to be set through these holes, so it's going to be hidden underneath the upper lane here. So it's pretty much going to be invisible, which is how you get that nice symmetrical look while still maintaining all of that flexibility. So we've got our leather strap here. These guys are going to be hidden, so like they don't have to be the prettiest, but we do want nice leather. So we're just going to punch a nice solid hole a little bit in from the end. And then we will rivet through that hole. And gently tap it. The aluminum moves pretty easily. And as long as you're tapping almost straight down each time, it's going to come out pretty round. And then we're going to take our other strap. This strap is a little longer than we need, but it's already cut, so I'm going to use it. But it does need to be longer because it needs to reach further. And we're going to do the exact same thing here on this guy. Okay, that's all there is to it. So we're just going to do that up all along the way until we have all the lames in. And then it's just going to be a slight bit different. We're going to use normal rivets for the top so that they can actuate, and in addition so that they look a little better on the actual pauldron. But yeah, we're just going to time-lapse through this, and I will see you once we've got these guys assembled. Thanks for joining us here in Patrick's Armory this week. These guys are all ready to roll. Join us next time. We're going to be working on a kabuto, which is like a traditional samurai helmet. And yeah, look forward to it. We'll see you next time.